Guys, what's up? I'm going to be doing a commentary of a Swede waterboom and a fight, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about just water in general, a little bit about Swedes, and why it's important, especially now with Definitive Edition as opposed to the old one. We're going to skip through this. Okay, so we loaded up on New England, which is a water map, and we have some fairly incompetent teammates, but that's okay. I figure that out as I'm looking at the decks and stuff, but I guess that's part of the experience of quick search as well, is that sometimes you won't get the teammate you want, and you have to kind of figure out how to deal with it. But this game was a little bit unbalanced in our favor, so I was lucky about that. I immediately go and try and take both the herds, so that I can put them next to my torps. I was thinking there was going to be a mine next to that second hunt, but there ended up not being one. A little bit of a misheard over there, but that's fine. This is really important. On water maps, you need to make sure that you can build a dock on the shore. Because if you can't, then it's actually not a water map. You won't be able to take whales. Because that's a difference that they made in Definitive Edition. Is that if the shoreline's too far away from your town center, you can't build docks. So if you accidentally choose a water deck when you can't build a dock, then you're kind of screwed. So yeah, before I picked my deck, I immediately scouted with my explorer to make sure that that was over there. And first I get a torp and then a market so that I can get some upgrades for my wood gathering. I tell the other guy that I'm going to go water because I don't want him to. I want to take all the whales for myself. Check to make sure I was recording. And yeah, now that Definitive Edition has come out, we can't choose what maps we're going to be on. So you have to have a water boom down for every civilization. Luckily, they're all kind of similar. You just take all the whales and then, go really fast to Imperial. I kill the sheep next to my torps because they can gather resources without taking villager seconds. And then I'm scouting around. I know I want the Huron settlement because they have an upgrade for my fish, and I want the fish to gather a little bit faster because I'm going to be water booming. I don't know if it's now or a little bit later, but I go and I check the decks of my enemies to make sure they don't have any water stuff. Yeah. So he hasn't checked his deck. His deck kind of sucks, so I know that I'm going to be in for a fun round. Then I check his deck. Also kind of sucks, but it's okay. And then I get, I don't know what it's called, loggers, whatever it is, wood gathering upgrade. Keep killing sheep next to my torp. And I get ready to build my dock now that I have 180 wood. Okay, so that's the last enemy. I know that neither one of them have a water deck, so I don't think they're going to be going on water, which means I don't necessarily have to take all the whales first. I should probably prioritize what's best for my boom. So I end up taking a few fish before I start getting on the whales, just so that I can H up faster. And as soon as that next sheep will die, I'll put it back on. I'll put the next sheep under the torp. Scouting around, I'm planning on taking that Huron settlement at Fortress Age when I collect wood for my town centers. And, herding closer to the torps so I can get some resources free of villager seconds. At this point I was kind of wondering where my second mine was, because normally there's 2 mines and you should build torps around both of them. But I could only find one with the amount of scouting I had done. Getting ready for hunting dogs. I'm kind of misheard them. They shot kind of sideways. That happens to the best of us, so. And I kind of forgot to use some boats. There it is. Oh, maybe not. I didn't queue. Next up is that wood card after schooners, which makes my boats cheaper. And I think I'm kind of preparing for... Oh yeah, I'm about to get house, so I'll make a torp. But after that, my next goal is building a second dock. So, second torp goes up, I shoot the animal. But it starts gathering from this super far one over here. I don't really understand why. I'm also kind of debating between gathering from whales and gathering from fish, because I know that boats are cheaper now even without schooners than they were in the regular Age of Empires. So I'm afraid that they might go on water even though they don't have schooners and steal whales. But I end up just going on the fish anyways, because I kind of am not estimating my opponents to be very good. Going for a wood treasure. The coyote's so much faster than my explorer that I can just walk and he'll hit me, and then his animation of attacking will make him far enough away for me to shoot him, which is pretty good for me. I get that second dock up. I bet if I'd managed it better, I could put 3. That might be something you should look into, is in every game kind of managing and experimenting to see where you can put your docks before you place them. Trying to herd, but all of them have already been shot. They walk in a weird way around my town center. I want to get some more herds down by my torps, but they're not herding as far as I wanted them to, which is okay. I think at this point I should have gone for blueberries instead of fish market. It would have boosted my torps a little bit more. But the boom I end up getting is pretty solid anyways. But once again, idling up my boats a little bit on accident, but it's fine. I've been managing my hunts a little bit poorly with the torps. I'm kind of lucky that one of them was in the gather radius, but you should kind of check to make sure your torps aren't already gathering from an animal before you shoot one, because then you're just wasting animals. But I kind of lucked out. A torp gathered a little farther away than it should have. And I should be looking to go to colonial age now. I've started to put on whales, started to balance out my res from just food to food and coin. And I think I might unqueue those villagers, if I remember right. Let's see. I see another mine there, which is really good for me, so I can build more torps. And then I'll start herding the herd the direction that goes towards the torps that are next to that mine instead of towards my town center, so I can get some more free villager seconds. And I age up with the hot air balloon, which was more experimental than anything. I kind of like it. When you're water booming, you don't really need 2 cows or like 500 food or anything. Like, that's not really necessary. Having the 2 villagers, I guess, could have helped a little bit, but I think the advantage of knowing what my enemies are doing without having to buy spies, you can just put your hot air balloon around their base and see where their weaknesses are. I think that's more than worth the little economic boost I'd be getting when I'm already watering booming uncontested. Which is another thing. I think in treaty, like, people don't understand the importance of water because they've only played on like Deccan and Andes, and they're gonna get wrecked on water for the first few times. So if you want some free elo, some free low, I would highly recommend getting a solid water boom down and learning how to fight on water, because as you see in this game, it will give you such a huge economic advantage. I already have 51 villagers and we're only 8 minutes into the game. And I think I'm going to age straight up from age 1 to age 5 or age 4, I think. I don't know. But it's going to be a very, very big boom. All because they gave me free water. I just had to go with the age up very fast. Normally I go for the covered wagon so I can go straight up to industrial on land. But water is, my economy is more powerful than it otherwise would have been. And with town centers. I normally build my town centers when I'm doing land Swedes. I build my town centers close to natural resources, but on water I age up so fast that I don't really need natural resources. So I just build my town centers, typically one right next to another, so I can just get them on plantations and it's faster. I was gonna say plantations and mills, but I don't go on mills with Swedes. I like to send the trade card. Get that upgrade. You're gonna forget the dock upgrades the first few times you do a water boom, but that's okay. Trying to buy some wood. See, I built it far away from my town center. I don't think I should have done that, but it's okay. Not the end of the world. Hurting towards my torps. Yeah, as you can see in the scores, like, to be a German player and have the game have been going on for 10 minutes and you're still in age 2, that means you're bad. So I kind of know at this point, like, this is just going to be one of those wins where you just kind of, you know, speed through the quick search so you can get a better elo, you can fight some better players. Also, if you go on water and you get to Imperial Age before all your allies, I think of it as common courtesy to give resources to your allies so that they can age up faster too. Because at that point you're just hoarding resources. You don't really need them for anything in particular. Like, having more resources isn't going to significantly affect your economy once you're in Imperial Age, because it's just part of your res now. I'm going to take all the whales now. I have a feeling that they're going to know I'm on water, and then they're going to want to be on water at this point, even if they don't have schooners. So I decided to take all the whales now. I'm gathering a lot of wood, but I'm okay with it because I need to be getting town centers. I need to be getting that trade post from the Huron settlement. And yeah, there it is. Yeah, now I'm going to be taking them off of wood because I don't need quite as much. I decided to scout the water a little bit more, just so that I can see where all the whales are. I'll take care of some idle bills and stuff. And yeah, it looks like I won't be able to age straight up to Imperial Age, but I'm going to have a really good Imperial time regardless. I think it's about 1540. And then I take the whales that I scouted. And I don't have a shipment to send my factories. I think in retrospect I should have sent mercantilism so that I could get my factories sooner. And just put more villagers on coin or something. Or put more boats on coin and more villagers on food. Because right now I'm floating 500 wood, which isn't great. And yeah, I kind of pick up on that right now and I start taking those off, but at this point it's a little bit late. I'm kind of having to manage the water too, so I'm just gathering a lot more wood than I need. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not hunting those with that right now. It's kind of making me cringe, but I got up to Imperial anyways. I go for 2,000 coin. I think maybe Advanced Hot Air Balloon would have been better though. I mean, I'm going to have enough coin to get my Imperial upgrades. It really only translates to coin for my trade, which, you know, I think I have more than enough. The advantage of having a permanent hot air balloon, I think, would be more powerful. Get that fish upgrade. I don't send the wood one yet. I forget to send it though. I don't really play with the nets this game, which is a mistake on my part. I was getting lazy. And now at this point, it's just a matter of getting 99 villagers, getting my Imperial upgrades. I'm going to skip through a little bit. Skip through a little more. I get to Imperial at about 1510. Start building a capital. I'd been giving some resources to Red at this point. to help him age up a little faster, which I think he gets to Imperial at a reasonable time. I mean, not reasonable considering the fact that I donated resources, but pretty good. I accidentally get housed right now because of torps. So I see that mine back there. Think, heck yeah, gonna torp that mine up. And yeah, let's see what else is up here. I think I sent mercantilism already so I could get more shipments. Putting my factories up. At some point he starts gathering for my crates, which I think is totally fine. I wasn't going to use them. It's cheaper than donating, so, you know. And at this point I'm saving my population. I'm not building torps until my next card comes in, which is blueberries, because it'll make them gather a little bit faster. But until then I'm running a little bit low on population. But it's fine because I got so many villagers queued up. I'm going to try torping up that mine too. I think one of the torps doesn't get the radius. I think it's that one. But other than that, we should be good. I end up killing the sheep next to it as well. And after that I kind of just spam torps wherever I want. You can put them next to trees to gather wood, but I was reading through an article and it talks about how it's very, very small the amount of wood you actually get as a trickle compared to food and coin, but it would have made my score higher and I probably should have done it. Yeah, purple's still in Fortress Age at this point. I didn't see red's Imperial time. I think it was like 18 minutes. I delete my torps once the berry bush runs out so that I can get more food from it. And I also normally have Prospector Wagon in my land deck. The Infinite One Prospector Wagon, it turns into a mine. And I'll put the mine next to my torps in late game. But I haven't had too many games go into late game with Swedes, especially not on water, so I took it out of my water deck because I figured the game's going to end before I send all my shipments. And I would rather have like a unit card or something. So I put one factory on wood and one factory on heavy cannon. If I'm not wrong, heavy cannon get their population reduced by a Swedish card, so I thought that'd be a great opportunity to take advantage of Swedish artillery. And I pushed pretty hard with it. I think I microed them a little bit wrong and he kills them with doppel soldiers or something, but it pushes pretty far forward. So before I build too much of my economy, I check to make sure that I can close the wall. And it's also really important to never forget to wall off the water, because no one's going to do no warships now that we're in Definitive Edition, so you need to make sure that you don't assume someone's following a rule that they aren't actually following. I don't have refrigeration for the Swedes because I do a coin for wood, or a coin for food trade, so I don't gather any food. I don't get the Imperial upgrade for mills either until later in the game when I start running low. And I think that's all there is to talk about for this part. I start walling, I made sure everything's good. I forget to wall the water though, I was being a little hypocritical. I do the wall trick. If you want me to talk more about that, I can show you guys where you delete your pillars. More water. I don't know how he got those fishing boats. I don't know if he sent a shipment because he doesn't have any docks. Maybe there's an upgrade for the Portuguese, like you age up with fishing boats. But he ended up getting like a few boats on Wales, so that's cool. With Swedes, you're going to need more artillery foundries than you will with other civilizations, because artillery for the Swedes is so much more, it has so much more utility. And it costs so little population that you can make a lot of it. It almost is like Dutch that way. Really, really artillery heavy with Karelians. And my favorite part about Swedes in treaty is, like, normally in treaty you don't really switch between fighting modes, like combat tactics. For example, besides putting your artillery in bombard and limber mode, or putting musketeers in hand-to-hand every now and then, you don't really do anything in normal treaty with different fighting styles. But with Swedes, it's like incredibly important. Like their dragoon and their hussar are like the same thing. They can train Hakapelites, which act as dragoons in ranged mode, but when you put them in hand-to-hand, they do 88 damage of they do like 88 flat damage, which is super powerful. My ally's trying to get rid of all the trees and he wanted to let me know. Whoa. Google thought I was talking to her. That's weird. Okay. I keep walling. My ally actually builds little tiny walls right here. So there's this giant hole until 5 minutes until the treaty's over. I kind of freak out. I'm just trying to make sure that we can close. Okay. And then I tell him and he doesn't understand. Rebuild the torps when the blueberries run out, so I can keep getting extra resources. And for those of you who don't understand these scores, it's a little bit different. Just remove 2 decimal places, and that is what your score will be. So mine's currently 1479. His is 733, 490, 744. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't really like having these really high scores either, but it's not the end of the world. I don't like putting all 10 villagers on plantations. I'll do it if I have to. If like my base is, if I need to manage my space really well to build walls. But because I have so much space inside there, I like to kind of free them up a little bit. It makes them gather faster if they don't bump into each other with 10 on a plantation. And you can kind of see how I'm building the walls. It's a little tricky to explain, but I make it as big as it can go without turning into 3 segments, just 2 segments, or 1 without turning into 2. You'll kind of see what's going on. I don't use Hussar, I use the Hawkbills, or the Drabants. He's going to get spies, which I don't really care about at this point. I just had to go for cavalry. I probably should have gone for mortars, because I'm going up against a German player. I should have known he was kind of going to spam Doppelsoldners, and Cap would be redundant. Especially with my Hawkapels that can, or with my Karelians that can kill Cav. I don't really need goons. And I don't really need Hussar with my anti-infantry cannons. So yeah, my score is getting pretty big at this point. I have 1700 at 11 minutes, which will only grow. You see, I wait for that second wall to kind of click into place before I delete them. And it makes it so there's no spaces in between wall segments. At this point, I'm not making units. I want to wait a little bit before I kind of delete stuff. And yeah, now Red's asking why I delete walls. Fair question. I have a little experience with the sensor program, the censoring problems with ESO currently. So I need to figure out which word it got censored. Alright. This is boring. 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 6 minutes left. I messed up my hotkeys a little bit, so I fixed that. Built that wall right there because I realized he was dumb. Made his walls weird. Rebuild torps again. Try to build a dock there. I can't. I wanted to build monitors there so I could see stuff down. 2 minutes left. I realized that I didn't build the walls on that side, so I panic and build them. 1 minute left. I start deleting my fishing boats and replacing them for canoes because canoes don't cost population, so I can get some free resources. 30 seconds left. I deleted everything down to 85 villagers, sent Minutemen, built an army, a ton of artillery, and start walking it forward. And here's when the fight begins. The fight's not quite as interesting. I get 3,200 or 320,000 with this boom, so it's a sizable boom. It would be less if I hadn't been uncontested on the water, which is just goes to show the importance of doing that. I really want to make sure that he doesn't sneak into my base with a cav or something using a galleon, so I built that immediately. And then I start moving these forward. His army's not at the half map, which means I'm just kind of sitting here awkwardly, which I'm okay with. I can kind of take map control. And I start, you know, building up a forward base. I should have had my artillery in siege mode. Right now they're in limber mode, and it means that there's going to be a little bit of idle time. I might lose some heavy cannons because of that. I start walking forward even more because he's still not here. Blue made lots of Manchu, which is weird, but that's what happens when you're in quick search. So yeah, I ran too far forward, lost a lot of Karelians. And now I have Minutemen and population, and now my Minutemen are taking up real population, which kind of sucks. Forgot I hadn't sent the mortar card, so I have a bunch of mortars that can't do damage. I think I still ended up winning the start fight, maybe? I don't know, at this point it's not looking good. I'm taking the trade route really fast because I want to start getting a trade monopoly. Not necessarily because I think I'll win with it, but because it gives me some extra bonuses. Like it gives me APM basically for free, because my enemy has to stop the trade monopoly, and it costs more APM to stop a trade monopoly than it does to start one. Putting my Karelians in hand to hand so that I can flank this artillery. They do a really good job. They move so fast. They're like Rotorellos basically. It's so cool. And I take that last one. I should have started building walls sooner. Definitely should have like kind of closed things off, but at this point I'm kind of lazy. I'm at 168 pop right now. And the fight's not even that interesting because it's not that good. Start fighting on the sea. Doing a few things at the same time. Still trying to take that trade route for the monopoly. More fighting. I'm just absolutely obliterating him with all my cannons because Swedish are kind of overpowered right now. I lose some cannons right there to his micro. I love watching infantry guns kill everything. It is the most satisfying thing in the world. And there's the trade monopoly. Working on upgrading my outposts because, you know, I'm lazy. I didn't see that I hadn't finished building that trade route. I could have probably secured a trade monopoly if I'd done that. hand, because these will wreck skirmishers. Just not even close. Oh my goodness. Feels good. Keep fighting the water, and it's a GG in no time. He starts spamming Doppelsolmer. He realized skirmishers were a bad idea. Keep killing him. More mortars. More stuff. Things. And yeah, at that point, he ran out of resources. I was going to go for another trade monopoly. And it's GG. He just resigned. So yeah. I hope you guys learned a little bit with the boom. The fight was kind of more me having fun than anything. But yeah, I think it's really important to get water boomings down, especially with the new definitive edition.